Hello. This episode is once again different than the previous episodes because you just moved to it. However, this episode is different because I'm going to touch on something very personal and very opening, I guess is what it is, kind of like putting myself out there. But I'm doing this mainly for those who have shared the same feelings, the same experience that I am feeling. I'm going to talk about the loss of my sister a week ago. She just left us with our approval because she needed to go home. I will talk about her loss along with the other loss I have experienced over the years and what the losses have meant to me, how I've gotten through them, and how I'm doing today. I share this personal journey with you because, as I said, we all have suffered some sort of loss in our lives. And grieving isn't easy. And although we feel alone, we are not. And that is a really hard thing to realize because we all grieve differently. We all grieve our own ways. And it's just so private and so personal that we do feel we're grieving alone. We're alone in the loss. Nobody understands. That's how the thinking goes. And there are those who don't understand. But then there are those who do understand, that knows the pain of grieving and that loss of that person. So I hope somewhere in my sharing, you'll find something that meets you right where you are. Welcome to the Wandering Pen Podcast. I'm Christine Musser, the host. Welcome to episode 29. Today's episode took place on Thursday, March 24th, 2025. On July 16th, in the evening, my sister crossed over. She was my oldest sister and my only sister, the one I looked up to. We were a family of 7 with my parents. There were 3 brothers, and then me and my sister. I did not expect it to feel quite like this. Her passing, it's more than just missing her. Something in me has shifted. Something in me has changed. Something foundational. I'm no longer one of the sisters. I am the only sister left. The only sister left with two brothers. And I know I am not the only one who has ever felt this way. There's a kind of grief that sneaks up on you. Not because it's sudden, but because of how many layers it touches. This loss, losing my sister, reached back through time. It pulled forward another grief I had carried since I was 15. And it was this month, 50 years ago, that I lost my middle brother. I was only 15 when that happened. I remember hearing my mom on the phone because the accident occurred in a different state. So she and my dad went to that town where my brother drowned. And I heard her words saying that he was gone. She didn't know I was on the phone. She was talking to my older brother at the time. But as soon as I heard those words, as a 15-year-old, I dropped that phone. I went to the couch. I sat there and I kept saying, why God, why God? I was crying, screaming, to the point where my sister-in-law had to come and comfort me. I was devastated. And then 4.5 years ago, the most traumatic, I thought the loss of my brother was the most traumatic. And then I lost my husband of 43 years. We started dating when I was 14. He was 17. We were high school sweethearts. We were married. We had 2 kids. And he died in a traffic car accident. He hit ice on a bridge and he was gone. The assistant coroner and another emergency person showed up at my door to tell me of the loss of my husband. I was in shock. And this was right after the whole COVID thing. And it was just devastating. I was numb. When I think back to those first weeks of his passing, I can't even remember everything. I just know that I had so much to do. I was losing my health insurance because of his passing. His income, but it was more than that. I lost the person that I spent most of my life with. And I lost his companionship. I lost his love. I lost his embrace, his hugs, eating meals with, traveling with, everything with him, I lost so much. And it just took me until just this past, the 4-year anniversary of his passing, finally, the grief became soft enough that I could get my life back and move forward with my writing, with this podcast, with rebuilding, rebranding my Wandering Pen, doing all of that. But it was also by the grace of God. It was by the support of my family, the support of friends. But I really had to do it. I was alone. I become very introverted. I became very much more introverted during COVID, which I'm sure a lot of people did. But I pretty much became pretty much a loner, and they used to bother me, but not anymore. So with that loss, and I was able to rebuild my life finally. I slowly rebuilt it. I just knew that I had to pick up the pieces, because living and surviving is what my husband would have wanted me to be doing. Not giving up and grieving. He knew I had certain dreams, and he supported me in that. And that's what I had to do. I had to pick up those pieces, a little at a time. Therapy helped me. Grief counseling helped me. But attending a grief group, a grief sharing group, was helpful. All of these different pieces. But it came down to I had to lift up writing. A lot of writing, journaling helped me. It's not all perfect. Not everybody can do that. But I learned that there comes a point where there's choices we have to make. And, and giving up, for me, giving up was not one of those choices. I'm a fighter. And then, of course, when my sister died, it was a whole different thing, because she was with me all my life. She was my older sister. She was the one I looked up to. I admired her. She's the one that taught me the jitterbug. She's the one that taught me, about the 60s music, everything with the 60s and soul music and jazz and just the love of music. She was there when our parents died, and now she's gone. And she was sick for a long time, but she had this tenacity and this fire and this strength, and she was going to beat it. And she was, the heck with it if she was a zebra and then became a unicorn, or, because she had these rare diseases. But she fought it until it was time for her to not anymore. So she's gone. Each one of my losses have changed me. Quietly and completely. They showed me what I was made of or what I wasn't made of. And I know I'm not alone in this. Maybe you who are listening has lost a sibling also, or a partner, or a parent, or a friend who is like family. Maybe you've experienced what I call layered grief, when it's not just one loss, but a lifetime of them. Loss that moves in chapters, in seasons, Kind of like a book, when you're writing a book and you're reading through, you know, maybe you're the one left still holding the stories. Like I feel with my sister. Before my sister and I could share stories or jokes that only the two of us could relate to and laugh at or say, yeah, I know, you know? So maybe, but now I'm the only one. And maybe that's kind of something with you. And those stories are important. They're important to her legacy, to your legacy. They're your stories and her story. Still whispering their names, the names of those loved ones we still whisper, when we still whisper, I love yous, and it's like, hey, I hear you. Or that kind of like, oh my gosh, I just thought of whatever. But you're still standing, right? I hope so. But if you feel like crumbling, just collapsing on that couch or that chair, do it. But one thing I realized is in grieving, you cannot worry what people think. There is no timeline. The timeline is your own. It's as individual as our DNA or as our fingerprints. So we don't let people put a time in that. Well, she's been grieving that person now for 2 years. You think she'd be over it or whatever. Well, no. Don't get caught up in that. And those people, if they're your friends and they say that, put the boundary down and don't go there. Because there is no time frame for grief. Grief happens in our own time. And the deeper our grief, the more that's the means love. You know, it's like how much like with my husband, that grief is so traumatic and deep, and it's just with all the memories and the love that I had for him and the love that we had for us, and you know, and feeling the loss of what my kids felt because of him being gone.
Would he die for me?
So don't allow that. You know, but just be sure to take care of yourself when you grieve. Don't feel bad for dawn crying, you know, or feeling sad. It will happen. It has to happen. It's all part of the process. There's a process of grieving. And only the things that I ended up doing, because I knew I couldn't do it on my own, was going into a grief sharing group and also then seeing an individual counselor. It doesn't mean we're weak. It takes strength to admit that we need counseling and we're not able to get through this on our own. And you can rely on friends, but there's something about that separation of that to do it with a counselor versus doing it with a friend. You can do it that way. However, if you have a friend who can help you walk through it, that has the compassion, the empathy, maybe he has been through it, then that's a gift, really. You know, just don't think you're alone and go out there and find counseling or someone to talk to. If it's a professional person, just don't prevent yourself from grieving, because that's about self-care. You're taking care of yourself. It helps the healing. But I didn't. The grief for my husband, the grief finally softened the beginning of this year when it was the 4th-year anniversary of his passing. I was fully able to start thinking again and moving and getting my business going and the Wandering Pen going and starting my podcast again and writing and, submitting articles for publication, working on my Basler piece, and just getting involved with different things, that were important to me, that were my dreams. And my husband, I knew my husband, he encouraged me to do that. He stood by me as I went to school and put out money and did this to do this. So for him, I had to still do this. And I had to do it for me. I had to fulfill something I had started. And he was with me. He's been with me for all of this. And then with my sister, something changed with her being my sister. What I learned, or what I felt with her passing, I feel her fire within me. She was a redhead with blue eyes, and she was true to what they say about redheads. She had fire. She had spit and fire. She was stubborn. She was sassy. She would say anything. Laying in the hospital bed right before she died, I said, "You have no tact." She goes, "No." Kind of like, "I know, no big deal." Like, okay, whatever. But she, my sister and I, we had our fallouts, we had our issues, but our love for each other was stronger than any of those fallouts that we had. Kind of like blood was thicker than water. So even though those times that I felt alone, I knew I wasn't alone. And maybe you've lost a sibling or a partner, a parent, or a friend who felt like family, someone that you loved deeply, and they're forever gone. Maybe you've experienced what I call layered grief, when it's not just one loss, but a lifetime of them. Loss that moves in chapters. And maybe you're the one left still holding those stories, the stories that only you and that one person knew. The things with my sister, the different things that, that the two of you share that, so it's just, now you're the one carrying the story. And if she has children, share those stories with her children. Share them with your children if you have children. Share them with your friends, because it's what keeps you alive. And that's what it is it's keeping you alive, and you keep their memory alive. I still have to just whisper their names and talk to them. I often find myself looking at the sky, the clouds, and watching those clouds move, and I think of them, as those clouds are moving. And I think of those loved ones up there just watching down over me. And I talk to them. I talk to them when I'm driving. I talk to them when I'm sitting at home, I talk to them, and it's like when I do a dumb thing, I said, yeah, you got that, right? Because they would laugh at you, they would tease you. They got you. They just got you. If you are alone, please know that I see you. I know you. I hear you. I understand how you're feeling. And you're not alone. There's a lot of people out there like us. We feel the weight too. I feel the weight. Those who've experienced that feels the weight of loss and what it means to go forward without that person. And even though it can feel like you're carrying it all by yourself, you're not. You're not carrying all that heavy weight. One of the things right after my husband died, I was blogging. It's on my Happening in Christine's World blog page, and it's Walking in Faith. And there I wrote a lot of different things, and one of them was about the weight we carry. There's a couple things in there. Feel free to turn to that. That's some pretty personal, raw writing there. You're not the only one who has ever felt this kind of ache. Remember that. Just remember the kind of love has nowhere to go but inward. You got to remember to love yourself, to embrace yourself, hug yourself. There are moments when I still want to pick up the phone and call my sister. Tell her something only she would get. And then I remember she's not there. I can't call her. I'm the only one that gets it now. Even there's that story to tell. That's the kind of grief that doesn't end. It just softens at the edges. It becomes part of how we move through the world. It's part of who we are now. It's part of what defines us now. We're more aware, more tender, and sometimes quieter. What I learned with the passing of my husband was how much more empathetic I was, how much more compassionate I was, how much all those stupid mistakes I made, the things that I did that were unkind. I learned something through that. Through every loss, I believe we learn something as long as we're open to it and we give in. It makes us vulnerable. And as humans, we don't like people to see that vulnerability. But it's in order to get through it, to get to that softer side. We have to feel it. We have to feel the pain. Grief may change us, but it also shows us who we are and what we still must give. Still have to go forward. And whether we feel like it, life goes on, the world keeps turning. So just please know, to you out there who are listening, no, you're not alone. I'm going to close here with something I had written after the passing of my sister. It's a tender place between memory and presence. It's for anyone who has felt like they were the only one left. Anyone who is lost more than once, and anyone who is still standing. Before I go into this poem, I just want to say, feel free to contact me at Christine@thewanderingpen.net. Or go to my website and you can go to the contact page there and just write me a note and let me know if this has helped you in any way, or if there's anything, just share with me, and I'd be happy to write back to you and give you some encouragement in that. My poem. Grief comes to all of us. We're all destined to meet grief. No one escapes it. For some, it arrives like a tsunami, sudden, staggering, breaking everything in its path. For others, it comes in waves, softer, slower, but just as relentless. It crashes, it recedes, and just when you think it's done, it returns. Sometimes gentler, sometimes not. Grief has no clock, no single shape. But when it comes, it carves us open, not to destroy us, but to show us where love once lived and still lives, always. If any of what I shared today, you find it helpful, encouraging, please take it, embrace it, and give yourself grace, time to heal, time to grieve. Don't be ashamed to cry or scream. Feel that pain that can be so gut-wrenching. Just take you to the core. Feel it. Go with it. It will help heal you. You're not alone. Not in your remembering, not in your aching, not in your love. There are others holding these threads too. I am one of them. There are probably many other listeners here that are on the same journey. I'm glad you took time to listen. And if you know someone who can benefit from this, who can help this episode help them in their healing, please share it. And if it's helped you, let me know. Thank you for listening. Until next time, take care.